The name Baba Vanga, Granny Vanga, hangs in the collective consciousness like a whispered secret, synonymous with unsettling glimpses into the abyss of time. Born Vangelia Pandeva Gushterova in 1911, her journey from obscurity to becoming, Bulgaria's most infamous blind prophet, began not with light, but with a shattering plunge into absolute darkness. Imagine a vibrant 12-year-old girl, snatched from the sunlit world of rural Bulgaria around 1923 by the monstrous fury of a whirlwind, a force of nature so violent it buried her alive beneath suffocating debris. When finally unearthed, the damage was irrevocable. Her eyes, windows to the tangible world, were shattered ruins. Denied medical salvation by crushing poverty, Vangelia descended inexorably into the permanent night of total blindness. Yet this profound loss, this descent into sensory deprivation, was merely the prologue to a far stranger and more disturbing metamorphosis. Legends speak of a subsequent eerie period where she simply vanished, a gap in her story filled with unsettling silence. When she reappeared, she carried something back from that absence, an uncanny, burgeoning awareness. The analysis is chilling. Stripped of the physical world, did her mind fracture, or did it instead forge a terrifying new connection? Within the confines of that impenetrable blackness, visions began to bloom. Not dreams, but stark, intrusive transmissions. Fragmented images, disembodied voices, spectral scenes of past events she couldn't possibly know, and most disturbingly, flickering premonitions of futures yet unborn began to assail her inner sight. The contrast is the core of her haunting legend. Eyes rendered useless by trauma became the very conduit for perceiving the invisible currents of fate. How does one reconcile the image of a frail, blind woman existing in profound material limitation with her alleged capacity to see across continents and centuries? The phenomenon demands scrutiny. Were these genuine, precognitive flashes, a complex psychological coping mechanism born of trauma, or something else entirely, rooted in folklore and collective yearning? Her humble origins in a poor village became the unlikely stage for an ascension that defied logic. Word spread like wildfire through the superstitious Bulgarian countryside and beyond, piercing even the Iron Curtain of the communist era. Thousands, gripped by desperation or morbid curiosity, trekked to her modest dwelling in Rupit, peasants seeking lost livestock, rubbing shoulders with anxious politicians and shadowy figures seeking advantage. She became an icon, a paradoxical oracle, a vessel of alleged cosmic knowledge residing in stark physical vulnerability. The narrative thrills with its gothic undertones, the blind seer, isolated yet globally sought, uttering cryptic pronouncements that seem to vibrate with hidden meaning. Her very existence challenged the rational order, forcing a confrontation with the uncomfortable possibility of forces beyond human comprehension. The blind prophet wasn't merely a title. It was the chilling embodiment of a profound duality. Profound physical absence, enabling an unsettling, almost invasive presence within the intangible realms of time and destiny. Her life, stretching from that cataclysmic storm in 1911 until her death in 1996, stands as a haunting testament to the enduring human fascination with the edge of the unknown, forever poised between the chilling depths of the unexplainable and the stark, undeniable reality of a woman who navigated her world in perpetual darkness, yet claimed to perceive the blinding light of tomorrow. The mystery lingers, as potent and unsettling as one of her own prophecies. Was she a conduit, a casualty, or a masterfully crafted enigma? Her legend thrives precisely in that unsettling ambiguity. The true enigma of Baba Vanga, the force that both cemented her legend and fuels relentless skepticism, lies not in her origin story, but in the chilling, cryptic pronouncements she scattered like ominous seeds into the future. pronouncements that would later erupt into global consciousness. During moments of profound shock and upheaval, consider the first, perhaps most viscerally haunting, the spectre of 9/11. Years, perhaps decades before those crystalline towers dissolved into hellish dust, whispers attributed to Vanga echo. Horror! Horror! The American brethren will fall after being attacked by the steel birds. The phrase alone sends a shiver down the spine. Steel birds. In the raw, bleeding aftermath of 2001, the interpretation seemed terrifyingly literal. Commercial airliners, instruments of mundane. Travel transformed into missiles of terror. The thrill of apparent foresight is undeniable, a direct hit echoing through time. Yet, the analytical mind recoils, probing the darkness. Steel birds. Could it not equally describe military aircraft, a failed space mission, or even a metaphorical plague of mechanized locusts? Was this a chillingly precise vision of the Twin Towers, or a terrifyingly vague utterance retrofitted after the catastrophe by minds desperate for meaning in the chaos? The ambiguity is the prophecy's true power and its fatal flaw, a Rorschach blot in the annals of disaster, forever teetering between uncanny accuracy and opportunistic reinterpretation. But the enigma deepens, shifting continents. As Europe navigated the tumultuous currents of the early 21st century, another Vanga utterance surfaced, heavy with apocalyptic portent. Europe as we know it will cease to exist by the end of 2016. The continents will become deserted. Then came June 23, 2016, Brexit. The UK, a cornerstone of the European project, voted to leave. The narrative ignited. Vanga had foreseen the collapse. The thrill surged. Was this the desolation foretold? Yet analysis slices through the fever. Dream. Did Brexit, however seismic, truly annihilate Europe as we know it? The EU endured. The continent teemed with life, far from deserted. Was the prediction a catastrophic miss, a misinterpretation of a turning point as an endpoint, or simply a prophecy yet unfulfilled, its true desertion? Perhaps nuclear, viral or climactic, still lurking in the unseen future. The interpretation stretches the words like taffy, revealing the malleable nature of dread when projected onto vague pronouncements. Then came a prophecy, seemingly etched in stone, only to shatter against reality. Amidst the historic hope of Barack Obama's 2008 election, Vanga's alleged words gained terrifying traction. The 44th President of the US will be black, and he will be the last president. The first part resonated with stunning accuracy, a hit undeniable. But the second clause, the last president. It hung like a sword of Damocles over the Republic. January 20th, 2017, arrived. Donald Trump took the oath. The sword fell not on America, but on the prophecy itself. Here, the haunting ambiguity collapses. Analysis offers little refuge. Last is stark, absolute. No plausible reinterpretation. Last of an era. Last before collapse. Convincingly masks the failure. Was this Vanga's clearest miss, exposing the frail human core beneath the prophetic mantle? Or was it a warning misinterpreted, a potential future averted? The starkness of the error chills, a monument to fallibility amidst the claimed omniscience. Yet the allure persists, drawing us back to natural cataclysm. Before the Indian Ocean roared in December 2004, drowning coastlines and 250,000 souls in its incomprehensible fury, had Vanga described a giant wave covering a vast coastline, sweeping away people and towns around the end of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st. The temporal bracket, 1999-2004, is loose, but the event fits the horror. Was Phuket, Banda Aceh, the very scale of the 2004 tsunami uniquely foretold? The thrill whispers yes, but analysis counters. Tsunamis are tragically recurrent features of our planet. Japan 2011, Sulawesi 2018, vast coastlines swept, towns erased. Does the prophecy uniquely fit 2004? Or does the sheer magnitude of that disaster simply make it the most compelling candidate for retroactive fulfillment? Without specific coordinates or a tighter time frame, the prediction dissolves into a general dread of oceanic vengeance, applicable to countless potential horrors, diminishing its power as proof of true foresight. Finally, the shadow that fell upon the entire globe, COVID-19. In the panicked early days, searches surged for Vanga's take, and phrases surfaced: a strange disease will spread across the world, or more poetically, chillingly, a virus will envelop the entire planet like butterflies. Strange disease envelop the planet? The resonance in 2020 felt electrifying, undeniable. The thrill of connection was pandemic itself. Yet deep analysis acts as the sobering vaccine. Pandemics are strange by definition to those experiencing them anew. A virus encircling the globe. This is the very nature of a pandemic in the jet age. The prediction is so broad, so inherently probable. Over a long enough timeline, it borders on tautology. Does, like butterflies, creatures often symbolizing transformation or fleeting beauty, genuinely capture the suffocating terror of lockdowns and mass death? Or is it merely a vague, even ill-fitting metaphor grafted onto the event? Was COVID-19 specifically prophesied, or was it simply the next major pandemic, inevitable statistically, onto which Vanga's generalized warning was inevitably pinned? The attribution feels less like prophecy and more like the desperate human instinct to find pattern and portent in random, devastating chaos. Each of these 5 predictions forms a spectral pillar supporting Baba Vanga's contested legacy. They thrill with their potential to pierce the veil of time, offering glimpses of a predetermined script written in blood and fire. They haunt with their ambiguity, their susceptibility to post hoc rationalization, and their stark failures. They are less crystal-clear visions and more fragments of nightmare, half-remembered and feverishly interpreted, reflecting not just a blind woman's inner sight, but humanity's own terrified, awe-struck gaze into an uncertain future, forever seeking a prophet to make the chaos feel ordained. The true mystery lies not in whether she saw, but in why we so desperately need to believe she did. Here is the rewritten assessment of Baba Vanga's accuracy, condensed into a single, haunting, 1,000-word paragraph that weaves analysis and storytelling with a thrillingly dark undercurrent. The chilling arithmetic of Baba Vanga's legacy demands a final, unsettling reckoning. Was she a vessel of forbidden foresight, or merely a dark mirror reflecting humanity's desperate hunger for meaning in the chaotic void? To tally her scorecard is to descend into a labyrinth of whispers and shadows, where alleged triumphs flicker like will-o'-the-wisps and stark failures loom like tombstones. Beyond the infamous 5, her believers point to spectral hits echoing. From the gloom, the Kursk submarine's tragic plunge into the Barents Sea abyss in 2000, a specific disaster foreseen. Yet when exactly did she utter this? Records blur. Boris Yeltsin's improbable political resurrection in 1996, a prediction of resilience or simply an observation of a volatile landscape? The rise of ISIS, that medieval horror thrust into the digital age. Did she name them, foresee their caliphate, or merely sense the kind of barbarism that eternally festers? The discovery of an ancient ship near Varna, a tangible artifact pulled from the Black Sea's depths, yes, but often years adrift from her purported timeline. Each supposed victory dissolves under scrutiny into a fog of ambiguity, the language impossibly vague. A great metal fish lost in cold waters, a bear rises again from sickness, a dark banner of faith spreads terror. The source is murky, often surfacing only after the event. Polished by the eager hands of retrofitting, the thrill of connection is undeniable, a shiver down the spine. Could she have known? But the analytical light reveals only Rorschach blots onto which we project our hindsight. Now confront the undeniable misses, cold and hard as granite in a winter cemetery. World War III, she declared, would erupt in a cataclysm around 2010 or 2011. The years passed, the dread peaked. Silence. Europe, she warned, would become a near-deserted wasteland by 2016, ceasing to exist. Brexit shook the foundations, yes, but cities bustled, nations endured. The continent pulsed with life, no desolation, only political tremors. Barack Obama, the 44th, would be the last president of the United States. The starkness of the phrase, the last president, offered no semantic escape. Yet the motorcades rolled on for Trump, for Biden. The Republic endured, mocking the prophecy's absolute finality. A major sporting spectacle predicted for Qatar. It remained a phantom event. These are not ambiguities, they are ruptures in the prophetic fabric, fissures too wide to gloss over with clever reinterpretation. They stand as stark monuments to fallibility, chilling counterpoints to the seductive whispers of foresight. Why, then, does the legend persist, thickening like night fog? The analysis cuts to the core of human psychology and the inherent flaws in divining prophetic truth. Her language wasn't precise code. It was haunted poetry, metaphorical, symbolic, a Rorschach test for the terrified. Steel birds, giant waves, strange diseases. These could mean anything given sufficient dread and a matching catastrophe. Reliable, contemporaneous documentation of her pronouncements is scarce, lost in the echoes of oral tradition and the fervent murmurings of acolytes. Many predictions only slithered into public consciousness after the event, perfectly sculpted by the phenomenon of retrofitting, the desperate, unconscious act of hammering the jagged peg of reality into the round hole of a prior, vague utterance. Probability itself is the silent conspirator in a world perpetually teetering on the brink. Pandemics will come, wars will ignite, regionally, if not globally, natural disasters will drown coastlines. Predicting a catastrophe isn't prescience, it's statistical inevitability over decades. And then, the cruel magic trick of the mind, confirmation bias. We are wired to remember the chilling coincidences, the echoes that seem to fit, the Kursk, the tsunami's wave, the pandemic's shadow. We actively forget or rationalize away the jarring misses, the WW3 that wasn't, the Europe that endured, the presidents who followed Obama. The misses fade like bad dreams. The hits are etched in neon on our collective anxiety. The haunting conclusion is inescapable. Baba Vanga transcends mere accuracy. She is a cultural and spiritual phenomenon, a powerful archetype born from the collision of profound human vulnerability, the terror of the unknown future, and the deep-seated need to believe the chaos has a pattern, a prophet, a purpose. Her appeal lies not in scientifically verifiable hits, but in the potent act of belief itself, in the communal shiver that runs through a crowd when a vague utterance seems to match the day's horror. Her power resides in the ambiguity, the darkness, the space she holds for our projections. The ledger, when held to the cold light, reveals a significant preponderance of failures and unfulfilled doom against a scant few successes that shimmer with the spectral, unprovable quality of smoke. Her true prophecy, perhaps, was not of specific events, but of the enduring human condition, our eternal, terrified gaze into the abyss of tomorrow, and our profound, haunting need to believe someone, anyone, even a blind woman, in the Bulgarian. Hills can see a flicker of light, or at least name the shape of the approaching dark. The myth thrives precisely because the reality is so elusive, leaving us forever suspended in that thrilling, terrifying space between doubt and the desperate desire to believe.